Hi, I wanted to walk you through my tree tapping process. So it's been a couple years since I've tapped my trees. I used to do it every year and boil them up and make some homemade maple syrup, but it's been a while. Um, so here's one of the trees I tap. This one's a fairly large one. It's actually capable of supporting two taps if I wanted to. So I was checking the other side there to see what was on the other side, see if you want to do it over there or not. But as you can see, there's a lot of thick bushes. There's a lot of briars around this. Thus the axe. Why I had to clear a way up to it first. So I had to actually make a path to get to it before I could get in there and drill my hole. Just so you know, if you didn't realize this, if you're careful about it on a large tree like this, like I said, you can do it twice. You can tap it on the other side, but on smaller trees, you only want to put one tap in there because it can be harmful to the tree if you take too much sap out of it. In this case, one shouldn't be a problem at all on this large of a tree. I had to go out and get some new buckets and get those hung up there. The last buckets I used have been, like I said, it's been a year or two since I've done this, so they have been repurposed for other tasks around the house. So I actually have a lot of fun doing this. This is a good day to do it. It was above freezing today. The way this works is you want it to be above freezing during the day and below freezing at night to kind of pump the sap up and down the tree, and that's how you collect that stuff. And you want to do it early. You don't want to wait till too late in the spring, because once the trees start to put buds on the leaves, or start to bud the leaves, that's it gets real bitter. It gets real nasty. You don't want that anymore. So this tree here I've tapped in years past. I'm not sure how well the other one I just did and this one here. I'm not sure how well these are going to work this year. I went back and checked them later, and they weren't quite wet yet, so there wasn't a lot of sap flowing out of them. I'll give them another day or so, and if they're not flowing sap, I'll pull the spiles out and go try to find a different tree someplace else to tap. I've got a total of let's see, 2, 3, 4. I've got 4 spiles I can use. So I tried to find 4 trees, 4 sugar maples that I can tap. This one's, like I said, this one's been a pretty good getter in years past. I did go out to one of my ones in the front yard, and I looked, and a hole I had drilled in it from years past still hadn't completely healed up yet. And then I looked up at the tree, and the tree is dead. I don't think I killed it by tapping it. I think it died of... It was dead before I tapped it last year. It was on its way out. So this is just a small little hole here in a little bit. I'll show you a close-up. It's not a very big hole. The outside of that tree, the whole bark is the living part of that tree. My neighbor's dog is barking. So the outside of that tree is the living part, the bark, the thin layer just underneath it. So if you look, I'm grabbing just a little tiny bit of it. It's not very much, so it really doesn't affect much of the tree. And these are such large trees anyway, that get through this drill, it doesn't really make much of a difference. It wouldn't know the difference. They're designed to have if something were to injure the tree, they're designed to kind of work around any injuries. Now, look, this is interesting. So, I just drilled this hole, and it's already flowing sap. You can actually see the sap coming out of this one now. It's dribbling down the edge of the tree right there. So that's a really good sign that this is going to be a good producer of sap this year. I'll go out and collect these every day or every other day, and collect them in a big bucket. Then every couple of days or so, when I get a chance, when my schedule allows, I'll go out and start a big fire in the backyard and start boiling it. This is roughly a 50-1 ratio. For every 1 ounce of maple syrup you need 50 ounces of sap. Here's I had to redo this one a little bit. I had to drill out a little bit deeper, so I had to Had to retry it. Actually, what I had just done there is I tasted it. It's very, very weak right now. You can't really taste any sweetness in it. So, here, see, it bottomed out. This tap wasn't deep enough, so I have to drill out more of the heartwood of the tree. Now, that wood just underneath the... Oop, that's awfully loud. Sorry about that. So, like I said, the only part of the tree that's living is the bark and the layer just underneath it. The wood inside is just support structure at that point. And so there, I'll drill a little bit deeper, then give it some light taps with the hammer. You don't want to wail on this thing very hard. You don't want to, A, damage the tree, and B, you don't want to bend your spiles. So clean that out a little bit, and then hang my bucket on here. And here's the interesting part coming up. I get this bucket on there, and I'm going to fat finger this and hit the camera here in a minute, so I apologize for that. But here in a second, give it a few seconds, and you'll actually see the sap actually starting to flow out of this spile very quickly. That's a good sign. Like I said, this is going to make a lot of sap for me and give me a chance to boil it down. Any second now, you'll see a big slug of sap coming out of there. It's literally just water. Everyone thinks that sap is all sticky and stuff. In a sugar maple, it's mostly water. So it's very, there it comes. So there's the tree sap. That's future maple syrup. And you got my neighbor's dog barking in the backyard in the background. I was pretty close to the edge of the property here, so. But that right there is what you collect. You collect a couple of gallons of that and boil it and boil it and boil it until you've got a few ounces of maple syrup. So, well, I hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to sampling my syrup.